Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with composer, conductor, and musician Randy Edelman, who celebrated the soundscape of his career with a dazzling piano concert recently at Chelsea Table and Stage on December 9th. Mr. Edelman is responsible for the film scores of everything from Last of the Mohicans to My Cousin Vinny, as well as several hit songs recorded by popular artists including Barry Manilow, Patti LaBelle, Olivia Newton-John, Nelly, and more. He's composed for over 100 popular films, including Gettysburg, 27 Dresses, Ghostbusters II, Kindergarten Cop, Twins, and many more. He also created musical themes for the Olympics, ESPN, and NASA, and has shared stages with the Carpenters, Frank Zappa, Anthrax, and more. We have a fun chat about film scoring, how he goes about writing, and much more. I hope you enjoy. Hi, Randy. Thank you so much for making time today. I really appreciate it. You've got It's a Wonderful Life coming up December 9th at 9:30 p.m., which also has a live
Right.
stream. Can you talk a little bit about what the show's going to be like, what folks can expect?
Well, yeah, it's simple. It's a guy sitting at the piano playing a lot of stuff. I can't get into. I'm not going to get into details. It's about all different. I do songs. I do a few medleys of my film scores that I've kind of transcribed for the piano, and tell some stories. And that's it.
I've always been curious. I know that you played piano going way back, pit orchestra. You've been a pianist your entire career. Do you write primarily on piano? Has that changed for you throughout your career? When songs come to you, do you think in terms of
Um,
that instrumentation?
well, songs are one thing, but I haven't been doing songs. I mean, I've been doing film scores for 25 years.
Mhm.
I'm back to doing some songs now. Yeah, usually I sit at a piano. That's sort of my thing. But now with scoring, it's a little different because you're sitting. I may be sitting at the piano, but I'm writing. I orchestrate and program everything at the same time. It's not like I write a cue and then I go back. So I'm using, the technology and the electronics and keyboards, and so I'm not just doing it at the piano. I'm doing it at whatever the scene requires. Rhythmically, musically, sonically.
Have you had any piece of tech over your career? I know some things, make typing faster, make our jobs a little easier, and then some things really change the game. Have you had a piece of tech that you look back now and think, how did I ever score without that?
Well, I'm a traditionally trained, musician. So, but yeah, that's all. The technology has obviously completely changed everything as far as locking to a picture and being able to, do a lot of things. I mean, right now I've been doing a lot of stuff by myself, even though I love using live musicians and big orchestras. I do a lot of it myself, but it's not like a specific piece of that. The whole thing has changed, you know.
When it came from shifting, you said you haven't done songs in a while. You're kind of back to them now. Did you ever see scoring when you were in school? When you thought about being a professional musician, was film score composer? Was that something that you considered might be a path?
Never, never. I never even heard of it. No, film scoring got sexy, when recently. I mean, recently in the scheme of things, no, I never thought about it. Even after I was working professionally from when I was 18 or 19. No, it wasn't a dream of mine. It's not that I didn't like film scores, but film scores, it wasn't like a thing of mine to eventually score films. It came about after many, many years of being a musician in different kind of genres. And luckily, I mean, you have to have your musicianship together if you're going to even think about that. Now, of course, every other person, I mean, they have film score courses in every university, that's kind of a joke. It's kind of like you better have your sit down as a musician before you even think about that. Even though now, because of technology, I won't mention names, there are people who do lots of films that don't know how to read a note of music. That's not to put their talent down. They're just coming to it, obviously, from a different place. But as far as me, I came from it originally from, the old click book phase.
In looking through here, I'm amazed how many of my favorite comedies you've scored. And I'm curious, from a process standpoint for you, does it feel different scoring comedy beyond, maybe not writing as epically sad a theme or something? Do you think about it in different terms,
No,
what the music needs?
no, it's exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether it's a drama or a horror film or an action picture or a comedy. It's the same thing, except scoring comedy is 1,000 times as hard as scoring something that you'd hear something, oh, that's a beautiful score, or that's really moving. That's easy because the scenes dictate themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You see a scene in a drama or a mystery or an epic film. I mean, I was just in Washington where they had the 25th anniversary of the film Gettysburg that I did years ago in front of the whole Congress. And there was tons of music. I mean, it's just like years and years of music, but it pretty well dictates itself as to what to write and the time period and what's on the camera. Writing comedies, and I was the king of comedy for years in Hollywood. That's hard because in all that stuff, if I played you some of the scores, you would never, ever, ever realize it was a comedy because I'm not playing the comedy. I'm playing the other stuff. If you have to play the comedy in a comedy, it stinks. I mean, I'm not saying the music stinks. The film stinks. So when I was doing The Mask with Jim Carrey, there's a brilliant guy. I didn't have to score him with his green face. I mean, I scored other stuff, the way it looked, the characters, the story that was going on around them. The same thing in something like My Cousin Vinny. I mean, these are the small comedies I did that became classics. But when I started doing them, they weren't considered, no one really cared. In that, instead of scoring the characters who were from Brooklyn, I scored the place where the movie took place, which was in the South. So I wrote a Southern score, and that made the comedy funny. And I could go on and on about the bigger films, like all the ones I did with Schwarzenegger, Kindergarten Cop, and Twins. Those are serious scores and difficult ones because I'm playing a serious drug bust or I'm playing kids, innocent kids in a kindergarten at school. And if you listen to the music, it's dead serious for whatever that is. It's not funny at all. I don't know if I wrote anything funny in those films. So it's not only the hard thing is what the music is and where it is. That's just as important as where there's not music is just important as where there is music as to what it's doing. So the long answer to your simple question is but the technique, the writing is just the same as any genre. You have to look at it. You have to think for a second because you don't have a lot of time in the high pressure world of Hollywood studio pictures or anyone really. I could spend a year on all of them. Maybe you have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 week, 6 weeks. So you got to be, I always say, a film composer has to be right and fast. Wrong and fast is no good. And slow and right is no good. You better look at it. You better do something and move on. Or you're going to be sitting there holding your you-know-what in 3 weeks with nothing down. That's my take on all of it,
Out of all the scores you've done, I'm just looking through here, realizing I spent a lot of my childhood in a video store and have seen nearly everything you've done. Do you have a favorite score that
No.
always comes back to mind for you?
No, not at all. No. I did too many, and each of them, basically what you take away is it's not whether the movie, it's always nice to do something that's successful, but it's the relationship between the composer, and in film, television is different, and the director. That's what you're left with. And if that was good creatively, and there was and you ended up supporting his vision, which is all a film composer is supposed to do, then it was a good experience. And if not, I've had all the different kinds of things. It wasn't a good experience. So that's really what you take away. And as far as the answer to your question is, it's those good experiences, no matter what the film was, that are the ones that you really remember. And usually it has to do with the personality of the director. I mean, these directors, they used to be, I guess, I don't know, film directors what were they? They were guys that came out of the theater or something. Well, that changed years ago. A film director may be, a guy who wrote a screenplay or did a commercial, or they're all, so you never can tell. And sometimes they, when I say they know what they're doing, they have a good feeling about the music, and other times they are, especially first-time directors, are kind of nervous, and they don't have they get nervous when they hear a piece of music, which obviously they never heard before, so it works, different ways. But that's really, as far as a favorite one, no. I have a lot of ones that I have a very fond feeling, but they're not necessarily the ones that if I told you now, you would think of. You'd think of the ones, and fortunately I have plenty, that are huge international successful films. But the ones that are my favorites aren't necessarily those, and that has to do with what I wrote and what I wrote dealing with this other person who's a director. That's the long answer to a short question.
Thank you so much for talking to me about it all today. Folks can, I'm going to put the link in the description here, but folks can also get the live stream ticket if they aren't around to catch your show on Saturday, December 9th, 9:30. It's a Wonderful Life. I can't thank you enough. I have loved so many of these movies. Your music in them just fit each time.
You're more than welcome. The songwriting thing is a whole other discussion, but that's a little about that area.
Well, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.